Welcome back to the channel. Well, if you can look at the front of the SSR, you can probably guess what I'm going to be working on in this video. So let's get to it. Hopefully your power of observation skills were with you as you watched the intro segment here. You should have noticed that the driver's side low beam headlamp was not illuminated while the passenger side was. So that's the topic for today's video. I'm going to be checking out what the root cause of that is, because it's not always the headlamp bulb, it could be a fuse. So let's see if we can determine which fuses are governing the power for the low beam headlamps on a 2004 Chevrolet SSR, which should be the same as the 2003. The arrangement inside the fuse box here in the engine bay will be a little different in the 2005 and 6. So on the bottom side of the exterior cover, we have the diagram for the fuse layout and relays. And we should see down here, hopefully, the low headlamp left, 10 amp, and a number 12 over here, low headlamp right. So I'm going to be looking for number 11, which on this chart, it is basically, let's flip it around, in the same orientation as the fuse box itself. So 11 and 12 are here adjacent to this particular bolt. So let's find that, and here's that bolt we're talking about, and here's those two fuses. So right now there's no power being supplied, but we'll take my test light, which I have grounded to the instrument panel ground inside the engine bay here. And we should see there's these exposed tips of the fuse we can use to test for power, and as figured right now there's no power. So let's go ahead and supply power to it. All right, I've gone in and turned on the headlamp switch to the position to turn on the low beams, so I should observe power on both sides of the fuse, and I do on that one. And both of them have power on both sides, so the fuses appear to be good, because if they weren't, I would only see power on one side of them. So we've determined that the fuses inside the fuse box here in the engine bay are good and supplying power to the circuit. We're on the driver's side inner wheel well area, and I've got the front wheel turned outward for the driver's side. That gives me full access to this cover, because behind this cover is where the headlamp assembly is, with the low beam bulb up here and the high beam bulb down here. So if you need to replace either one, this is the panel you would go through to get to it. And this is a 5.5 millimeter headed bolt, so we'll remove that. And once that loosens up, the cover should pretty much drop into my hand, which it does. And now you're taking a look at the back side of the driver's side headlamp assembly. And we have the low beam bulb up here and the high beam bulb down here. And you may notice that there's some tape and zip ties around this one. I ended up many years ago, when I last installed these headlamp bulbs, replaced them, I found that the connector here had a cracked tab here, which wasn't going to securely hold that onto the bulb. So I ended up getting a new pigtail and replaced it and soldered it in place and weather guarded it here. So that's why this looks like this. On the passenger side, you'll see a natural, from the factory style. It's just the wires that continue on in the harness. But next, we need to remove the bulb. I have some dirty gloves on kind of at the moment because I've been touching the inside here. And I'll go ahead, and that's fine for now. When we put the new bulb in, I'll put some clean gloves on. And let's turn this counterclockwise to release the bulb from the headlamp assembly and pull it out. And oh, there we go. I can see the reason why it didn't work. We have the filament in the middle that is totally broken. So that would be the reason why this particular headlamp was not working for low beam. I'm pretty sure the passenger side will end up looking just fine. This one definitely broken. So we're going to need to disengage these two clips on the side here to elevate the and they're a little tricky. Depending on your flexibility, you might be able to disengage them this way. You have to work on it a little bit, but you need to be careful not to break them, as I found this one to be last time I worked on it. And there's two sections to this particular pigtail. There's the section of the wiring going into the adapter for the H11 bulb. You're not taking this part off, the gray part. You're taking this dark black plastic section off. That's the part that goes into the bulb. So I'm going to need a little pry tool here to gently apply some pressure. And okay, it looks like we've got both disengaged. And then you walk this out. And then this is the seal for the connector so that water doesn't get into the bulb. All right. And again, that bulb is definitely bad. If you're going to reuse this bulb, again, don't touch the glass. Fingerprints are the death of bulbs like this. The oils in your skin will get on there and cause a temperature variation and potentially crack the glass. So let's be careful of that. Here are the two bulbs. The one on the left is the one that I took out. Again, the filament is broken on that one. And the one on the right is the new bulb. Both of these are Sylvania Silver Star Ultras H11s. I prefer this particular brand because I like the brightness of the light it generates. It increases the visibility at night, in my opinion. So I've been using these in all my vehicles over the last decade or so. So again, let's get rid of this one, and we're going to install this one, but don't touch the glass. I've put some new gloves on just to make sure everything's clean. And going to then insert the bulb. There is an orientation to the connector. You can see the slot here corresponds to the tab that's inside the bulb, so it has to be oriented in a particular way. And then you gently walk this on until both sides snap into place. You can see the tab here is connected and the tab on that side is connected. So again, we gently raise this up into the socket and do not touch the glass to the side or anything. You gotta keep that clean. Again, no oil from your fingerprints or anything, no dirt on it. It should be as clean as possible. So we gently lift this up, put that in there, go counterclockwise a little bit until we drop into the socket, and then we turn it back clockwise until it snaps into place and stops. And the connector is fully seated. And we should now have a functional low beam headlamp on the driver's side. I'll go ahead and replace the passenger side one as well for completeness, but it's pretty much identical to this. Again, you have access to the low beam and the high beam, and on the SSR, the low beam is also the daytime running light. With that, we'll add the cover back to this. Put the 5.5 millimeter headed bolt back in place. Now that we've completed the driver's side, switch over to the passenger side, do the same set of steps. The only difference there is you have to move the front wheels in the opposite direction so that the front passenger wheel is sticking out side of the fender so you have access to the panel just like we did here on the driver's side. After replacing both of the low beam headlamp bulbs in this SSR, I have two functional low beam headlights on this vehicle. And let's verify that the high beams are working. I'll use the flash to pass functionality, and yes, they're working. Over the last decade or so, I've been a fan of the Sylvania's Silver Star Ultra bulbs, which I use today, the H11s. And the high beams would be 9005 HB3s. According to the owner's manual, I'm a particular fan of those. I tend to like the brightness that they generate, especially on the dark roads that I drive in this area where I live. So I will put a link down in the description section of this video to the Sylvania Silver Star Ultras on Amazon, and also for the H11s for the low beams and the 9005 bulbs that are appropriate for the high beams. Check that out. I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you do click on those links and purchase that or anything else within 24 hours from Amazon, I will get a commission from that, and that will help support this channel. I would greatly appreciate that if you would do that. And if you do like the content in this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you don't like the content, make sure you hit the dislike button twice. Joke there. And make sure if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do subscribe. That'll keep you up to date on all the SSR tips they have like this, vehicle maintenance, car shows, and everything else I've got, including product reviews I'm working on right now for the channel. Thanks for coming to the channel. See you in the next one.